All right, good evening. It is 7 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the LaPorte Independent School District is now convened. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present. Every student's success is our number one priority. As the LaPorte ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, adopt policy, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and communicate the district's vision and success to the community. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of our superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. School board meetings are open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. Audience participation is limited to the patron presentation portion of the meeting. Board members may not respond to the public comment section. These proceedings may be recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. Thank you for taking the time this evening to join us for your interest in the LaPorte Independent School District. At this time, will you please stand for the presentation of colors led by the LaPorte High School ROTC.
Forward, march. Color guard, halt. Left face. Present. Colors.
Tonight we are led by American Rifle Cadet Command Sergeant Major Everardo Garcia, American Flag Cadet Captain Kaylee Bailey, on the Texas Flag Cadet First Lieutenant Lucy Grace Thornburg, and on the Texas Rifle Cadet Staff Sergeant Xavier Aguirre. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to Pledge Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Order. Colors. Colors. Post. Ready. Seat. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Center. Face. Mark time. March. Forward. March.
If you'll please remain standing for tonight's invocation. Father God, I thank you first and foremost from the bottom of my heart on behalf of my friends and colleagues here on the Board of Trustees. For every man and woman and student that are present here this evening, we thank you, Father, for each one of the staff members that chooses to make LaPorte ISD their home. I thank you for every parent that puts the trust in this district to help steward and guide their children along their path. I thank you, Father, for just our community and that it has this tremendous heart and the willingness to pour back into the school district. I ask for wisdom and discernment as we go forward on behalf of this board to make decisions for the district. And I thank you most importantly, Father, that we are not in control and that you are, that you were here yesterday, you're here today, and you're going to be here tomorrow. And we know that you're present always, and we thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Seated. All right, we'll return now to our board recognitions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us in welcoming the LaPorte Elementary Pride Spirit Team under the direction of Miss Belva Perry. get pictures?
Are y'all sit right here? Right here. You're still center stage. You're a goofy guy.
So I'll go get your arm.
All right.
Come on in.
Miss Lolly, it's your turn if you're ready.
Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
Way to go.
That was a treat, wasn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, several career and technical education students have qualified to compete at the state and national levels over the past several weeks in various events. And here to recognize these students is our CTE coordinator, Dr. Michelle Baker.
Thank you, sir. It is my great pleasure to recognize all of our amazing CTE students and their awesome teachers for their accomplishments in their respective CTSOs, Career and Technical Student Organizations, at the state level of competition. Our Skills USA state qualifiers, they competed this last week in Corpus Christi. We had Jaden Martinez in first place for automotive paint and refinishing. Y'all come up when your name is called. Christian Kleeman in second place, automotive paint and refinishing. Matthew Lozano in second place, automotive collision repair. And Pete Provolicianos in third place, automotive collision repair. Y'all stay up here. And then a big thank you to their sponsor and teacher, Mr. James Wheeler. Next, we have our DECA students. That's our business and marketing student state qualifiers. They competed in Dallas in February. Robert Mendez and Nathaniel Kozlowski, both competing in entrepreneurship team decision. And a big thank you to their sponsor, Mrs. Tamara Jones. Next are our Taffy state qualifiers. Those are our future educators. They competed in Dallas in February. The team of Ariana Holt and Michael Munoz for their interactive bulletin board for middle school and high school. Mallory Black for the Educational Leadership Fundamentals test. And we have some Taffy national qualifiers who are going to represent LaPorte ISD at the Educators Rising Conference in June in Portland, Oregon. The team of Karina Carzales and Peyton De La Cerda for their interactive bulletin board elementary. And thank you to their sponsors, Mrs. Kenda Atkins and Mrs. Christina Wergler. And finally, in its first year of existence, our Texas High School Welding Series State Competition team, that's a mouthful, will compete in May in Abilene. These students qualified for the state competition by attending various local and regional events and earning points over the course of the year. We have Ariana Castaneda, Joshua Cottrell, Matthew Gillard, Jaime Reyes, Uriah Tijarina, and Ryan Reynolds. And then finally, thank you to their sponsor and teacher, Mr. Brian Perkins. And thank you to all the parents in attendance tonight. Thank you, parents.
Let's get the teachers up here too.
Teachers.
Hey, you might want to get up there too. Stand in between. Stand in between. We got some more over here. For all the teachers here.
Got all the sponsors and teachers.
Can you see everybody? Congratulations, everybody.
You want to do that too?
LaPorte High School was recently represented at the state powerlifting championships by both the girls and boys teams. LaPorte High School junior Samantha Gilder, meanwhile, will go into the record books as the school's first ever medalist at state.
Wow.
And we're going to start off with the girls who went to state. Samantha, come on up. There. Nadia El Abdallah. Isabel Burke. And Ariana Castaneda. Congratulations. Now moving to the boys who competed at state. Devin Frank. Kevin Rojas de Ordonez. And Nehemiah Luisi. And all of these powerlifters are coached by Mr. Beck Neal.
It's okay if that's your mom.
Congratulations. All right.
That's right. That's just how we are.
Good job, guys. Good job. Yeah. Good job.
Maria Guerra and Tremaine Wycliffe are the 25-26 elementary and secondary principals of the year, respectfully. I'm going to tell the crowd a little bit about you guys. Ms. Guerra became principal of Leo A. Rizzuto in July 2023, and since then the school has been honored by U.S. News and World Report and Educational Results Partnerships multiple times as being among the best schools in Texas and the U.S. Rizzuto is currently an A-rated campus under her leadership. Mr. Wycliffe joined LaPorte ISD in July 2023 after serving in Alief ISD. He is the principal of the Academy of Viola DeWalt High School, where he is leading increased enrollment and graduation rates. Under his leadership, students at DeWalt now participate in ACE and dual credit, and he additionally established the school's Corporate Walk initiative, which exposes students to different career opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, Maria Guerra and Tremaine Wycliffe.
Bravo. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Good job.
And we want to recognize our Rookie Teacher of the Year. He could not be here tonight. He had family obligations, but the Rookie of the Year for the 25-26 school year is Zachary Gilbreth, a biology teacher at LaPorte High School. He is known for his engaging, hands-on teaching style and ability to make complex concepts accessible. He has created a classroom environment that fosters curiosity and confidence with his students. Now, Mr. Gilbreth will be recognized on May the 7th at our annual Service Awards banquet. And so too will our Campus Teachers of the Year. Campus Teachers of the Year have been selected, by the way, for 26-27. They'll serve the entire next year. This recognizes outstanding educators who demonstrate excellence in the classroom, a commitment to student success, and meaningful contributions to their school communities. And we'll start out with elementary. Bayshore Elementary, Perla Pena. College Park Elementary, Kristen Jennings. Heritage Elementary, Jessica Serrano. LaPorte Elementary, Casey Groening. Lomax Elementary, Brenna Gonzalez. Jenny Reed Elementary, Samantha Beasley. And Leo A. Rizzuto Elementary, Haley Gibson. Congratulations. Moving to secondary Campus Teachers of the Year, James H. Baker, 6th grade campus, Christina Davidson. LaPorte Junior High School, Danielle Coffey. She was not able to be here tonight, unfortunately. Lomax Junior High School, Hope Carmichael. The Academy of Viola DeWalt High School, Melissa Hernandez. DAEP, Kelsey Ramirez. LaPorte High School core subjects, Sarah Kotasik. And LaPorte High School non-core subjects, Alicia Thompson.
Proud of you, Coach. Congratulations. That's it. That's it. That's it. All right, guys, we'll turn now to item 6, public comments. The board will now hear those who wish to make comments and who have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This session will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Vice President, do we have anyone wishing to speak this evening?
We do. Mr. Dylan Thatcher to speak on policy change in honors distinction.
Good evening, Mr. Thatcher.
Good evening. My name is Dylan Thatcher. I appreciate y'all's time. I'm a senior here at LaPorte High School. I want to talk about how we do our honor grad distinction. So at LaPorte High School, the top 100 students are the top 20.53% of the class. Unfortunately, 27 of those students are graduating without honors. Since only the valedictorian and the salutatorian in our district get the honor of summa cum laude, that leaves 22 kids who worked very hard and deserve that honor that will not receive it. That leaves 49 students who have worked hard and deserve the honor of magna cum laude who will not be receiving that honor. And don't forget the 27 that don't get any honors at all. This to an academic is like being the best of the best in a sport. How is it fair to take sharing their success with their families, their friends, their peers, away from them? How is it fair to change how they are seen by people outside of our district and local area? You wouldn't do this to the football team. You wouldn't tell our state championship team that only the quarterback and the defensive captain are state champions, even though they all played the game. Those two are the top two. Everybody else is a regional or district champ. You wouldn't do that, yet you do it to your academic students. You tell the top 100 that 27 of their peers are not good enough to receive an honor that they have rightfully earned. Where's the incentive for me and my fellow academics to strive for greatness? I urge you to put this on next month's agenda. By leaving this policy in place, many students are underrepresented or misrepresented. Are you really leaving a legacy of excellence when 27 students are not being represented at all? We can do better than this. Thank you for your time.
So that's where we, we can't speak back, we can't comment back, but we appreciate certainly anytime anybody comes to speak to the board, but especially when a student, man. So we appreciate your passion, and we'll definitely speak with the board about this. So thank you again for your time, man.
Thank you.
Vice President, is anybody else this evening?
No.
Okay. I'll turn now to a little bit out of order. We're going to go to item 7. We bumped up our consent agenda. So A, determine and approve any consent agenda items. B, approve board meeting minutes. 1, regular board meeting minutes, March 17, 2026. C, receive principals reports. 1, Early Childhood Center. 2, Bayshore Elementary. 3, College Park Elementary. 4, Heritage Elementary. 5, Jenny Reed Elementary. 7, LaPorte Elementary. Or 6, LaPorte Elementary. 7, Leo A. Rizura Elementary. 8, Lomax Elementary. 9, James H. Baker 6th grade campus. 10, LaPorte Junior High. 11, Lomax Junior High. 12, LaPorte High School. And 13, Viola DeWalt High School. D, receive financial reports for February 2026. E, approve budget amendment, April 2026. F, receive human resources report. G, approve employment of professional staff. H, approve term, probationary, and non-certified contract recommendations for certified teachers, administrators, and professionals in paid grades 1 through 7. I, authorize the superintendent to approve hiring of contract professionals of director level or below on the district's pay scale from April 15, 2026 to August 31st, 2026. J, approve attendance waiver for LaPorte Junior High for February 27, 2026. K, approve contract and purchase of services required for LIFT grant implementation. Cool. Item K, please, Vice President. L, approve guaranteed maximum price GMP for renovations to Sandra Angelo Theater. M, approve library materials acquisition list. N, approve purchase of iPads for grades 3 through 5. O, approve purchase of iPad accessories for grades 3 through 5. P, approve purchase of E-rate category 2 network equipment. Q, approve second reading and adoption of TASB policy revisions to CV local, DBA local, DK local, DNA local, EB local, EEB local, FNG local, and GF local. And R, adopt a resolution number 2026-04 for schools and libraries universal services E-rate for 2026-2027. Mr. Vice President, will you please read the slate as read?
Yes. It is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R.
Would I see a second and a motion for tonight's consent agenda?
Second.
Trustee Hanks, motion, and Trustee Perez with a second. All those in favor, or please vote. All right, we have a unanimous approval. Do we? It's spicy tonight, guys. All right, so motion approves. We will now go to item K, I believe.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
I want to hear from administration their findings. We would just like to hear your findings and research on this particular curriculum.
So the question about the curriculum or the question about the contracted services for? There will be a presentation and action discussion on the Bluebonnet materials.
But this use of this grant money is related to that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yes, I think we should table it
Okay.
until we get to that.
Okay, board, we will table item K, and we'll move on. I don't know if we need a second, Chris. We'll move to item 8, administrative reports. Dr. Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, and all that are assembled. Tonight, with the board's approval on the consent agenda, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce some new administrators to our school district and to our campuses and to our departments. I'd like to introduce Miss Martha Torres as the new principal at College Park Elementary. Martha, would you please stand? Ms. Torres has served the campus as well as its assistant principal for the last 2 years at College Park. Her 22 years in education also includes prior roles as assistant principal and bilingual teacher in the Houston Independent School District. A proud LaPorte ISD graduate, she holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Houston Clear Lake and a master's degree from Lamar University. We look forward to Ms. Torres' leadership at College Park Elementary. Let's give her a hand and welcome. Ms. Torres, do you have any guests that you'd like to introduce?
Just my daughter,
Okay.
class of 2016, LT Proud.
All right. Thank you. And I'm equally thrilled to introduce the new principal at James Baker 6th grade campus, Mr. Jaime Arispe. Mr. Arispe has served as Baker's assistant principal since 2023 and is a product of our Aspiring Leaders Academy. With 17 years of experience in education, he has also served as history teacher and coach at LaPorte High School and in Northside ISD. He holds a bachelor's degree in social studies from Abilene Christian University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Stephen F. Austin University, and is pursuing his doctorate in educational leadership at the University of Houston, Clear Lake. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rispe to his new leadership role at Baker. Did you bring any guests?
I did. I brought a whole row here. My wife Elizabeth, thank you for the support. Got a feature baker there, my son Mateo. Got Lily, she's jumping in. Catalina, my daughter as well. I have my in-laws who also help support the environment.
Outstanding. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Stephen Cassidy as the new assistant principal at LaPorte High School. Stephen? Get up. Mr. Cassidy currently serves as the high school assistant principal in Clear Creek ISD and has been in this role for 4 years. He has also been an English teacher and a coach in Pasadena ISD and has a total of 10 years experience in education. He holds a bachelor's degree in integrated language arts from Kent State University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Lamar University. We're looking forward to Mr. Cassidy joining the leadership team at LaPorte High School. Let's give it up one more time. Did you bring any guests?
No, sir, just myself.
Oh, well, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. Board, I'm equally excited to introduce our new Director of Research, Accountability, and Federal Programs, Miss Jennifer Upshaw. Jennifer? Ms. Upshaw will transition from her role as Director of Special Education to Director of Research, Accountability, and Federal Programs. Ms. Upshaw has served the district for 20 of her 29 years in education, including Assistant Principal, Behavior Specialist, and Special Education Teacher. Ms. Upshaw holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Psychology and Special Education from the University of Mary Hardin Baylor and a Master's degree in Educational Leadership from Lamar University. And we look forward to Ms. Upshaw's contributions to LaPorte in this new role. Do you have any guests with you today?
No, Coach Upshaw is in Galveston with his...
Let's go, Lady Dogs, right? Thank you. Let's give it up for Jennifer one more time. Please join me in welcoming Misty Mikulin as Director of Maintenance and Facilities. Misty? Ms. Mikulin steps into this role with 19 years of experience in the district, currently serving as the Manager of Planning and Facilities. She has held previous roles as Coordinator of Support Services, Purchasing and Maintenance Specialist, and Campus and Department Administrative Assistant. She holds certifications through the Texas Association of School Business Officials, that's TASBO, and remains committed to ongoing professional growth by pursuing her bachelor's degree. A proud LaPorte graduate, Misty is looking forward to continuing to support the district in her new role. Please join me in welcoming her to this new role. Let's give it up for Misty. Misty, you have any guests you'd like to introduce?
Yeah, I have my husband Kyle and then my son Truman, who turns 16 tomorrow, so watch out, world.
Happy birthday, Truman. All right. And last but certainly not least, Board, we'd like to take this opportunity to introduce, and we're pleased to introduce Ms. Samantha Pugh as our new Director of Transportation. Samantha? Ms. Pugh has been with LaPorte ISD for 8 years, where she currently serves as the supervisor for routing and logistics in our transportation department. She also brings 12 years experience as a bus driver, both in LaPorte and in Clear Creek ISD. Ms. Pugh holds a transportation supervisor certification from the Texas Association for Pupil Transportation, that's a lot, and pursuing her bachelor's degree in human resources. Ms. Pugh demonstrated leadership. Her demonstrated leadership will serve the department and the district well in this new role. Please join me in welcoming her once again. Samantha, do you have guests you'd like to introduce?
I do. I have my husband Edward.
Hi, Edward.
My son Taylor, he's a senior at
Hi,
high
Taylor.
school right now, and my son Jacob, he's 7th grade at Loma.
I'd like all our new hires to come together. The board, we'd like to take a picture with you all. Scoot down. All right.
Congratulations. If you're a family member that came, y'all come get a picture too. Like a big giant wedding.
That's my enrollment right there.
Beautiful.
That's right. That's a great.
Congrats, guys.
Congrats.
Adam. Cue it up. Board, we have just one more treat under the superintendent's report, if I may, Mr. President. I'd just like to direct the board and audience to the video cameras. We're undergoing some massive marketing opportunities, and we just want to kind of share with you all what some of the things we're trying to do to kind of really promote our brand as a school district.
Do you love STEM? Do you like the arts?
Do you want a big opportunity in a small district?
You belong in LaPorte ISD because every child is known, seen, and supported.
Remember, you don't have to live in LaPorte ISD to attend our award-winning schools. You belong here at OPISD. Come make waves with us.
Strengthen our brand around here.
LaPorte ISD is a small district with big opportunities. We are an open enrollment district. Come make waves with us.
Mr. President, you have a copy, and board, you have a copy of my superintendent's report at your desk, and this will conclude my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We'll turn to item 9, action and our discussion items. 8, bond sale and debt service review and discussion.
All right, good evening, Dr. Jackson, President Martin, Board of Trustees. I'd like to introduce Mr. Doug Witt, who is the Senior Managing Director at Samco Capital, who will present a summary of our plan of finance and discuss authorization to proceed with the issuance of the bonds. After Mr. Witt's presentation, we will ask the board to adopt resolution number 2026-04 that will authorize the issuance of the school building bonds, establish the parameters for the sale of the bonds, and delegate authority to the administration to approve the sale and execute the final documents of the sale. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you, Stacy. It's good to be back. Always good to be here where we're celebrating public schools and the products of it, the students and the people that make it happen. So it's good to be with you. Like last time, I have a short report for you before we seek authorization to proceed with the issuance of additional bonds from bonds approved by the voters previously. So the first graph is just an update of the interest rate market. You should see over there to the far right a number 4.72%. This is that national index of municipal bond interest rates. 472, it's about 0.5% below the peak here in the more recent past where it got a little above 5.25, slightly above the averages running across the middle at 4%. All in all, we have very sound markets, financial markets, despite all the things that you can read about on the news. We're functioning pretty good. Our interest rates are a little elevated, but still a very sound market that we have. Your bond ratings remain very, very high, excellent credit quality, AAA based upon the permanent school fund guarantee, of course, but your underlying credit quality as an institution is outstanding at AA2 and AA. That puts you at the upper echelon of school districts in Texas. And then they cite, your large and growing tax base, which has performed very well through this bond program. Your economic and employment base, your strong wealth and income levels, and your strong financial performance as a public school institution here in Texas. So last time in 2026, kind of the next to last bullet point down the page, we did a small refunding with the last year. And then all of the refundings that have taken place since 2014 are illustrated. You have taken every opportunity to be good stewards of taxpayer money and lower the interest borrowing cost every time you've had a good opportunity to do it. So over that period of time, there's about $34.5 million of interest cost savings by refinancing bonds. In addition to that, you've done the redemptions in 23 and 24 where you paid bonds off early. So again, that saves interest costs. Your debt management program has been outstanding. Just to review the bond election parameters, there were 3 propositions, 164 million Proposition A, 15 million Proposition B, which is kind of our rolling technology replacement, and then Proposition C at 56 million. So all in all, you break it down by proposition that's required by Texas law. I kind of break it down between that which is capital improvement and that which is facility improvement, because we amortize the shorter technology bonds over a much shorter period of time than we would a facility. So 220 million for facility improvements, 15 million for capital improvements. The bond election was what we call a no tax rate increase bond election. We were already at 28.19 cents. We remained at 28.19 cents, and then I'll talk a little bit about the history momentarily. And again, the last bullet point is important for a district like this. We do amortize the bonds, even though they're blended in an election and they're blended in a series of sale. We amortize technology bonds over a 2-year period. We amortize facility bonds over a longer period. So the net taxable value, as I mentioned earlier, has performed extremely well through this process. If you just look at the bottom, starting maybe in 21-22 and then 22-23, 12.6 billion, 14.2, 14.7, 14.9, and 15.4. You'll actually see in our debt service model, we actually have provision for the debt service payments to drop over time, because you do have these 313 industrial that show on paper some depreciation. So we're protecting that if there is depreciation out of those, we're not assuming that our tax base is going to stay up for the entire period of time that we repay the bonds. So again, in addition to your bond refinancings, your early redemptions, our lower interest costs than what was projected pre-election, your tax base performing exceptionally well, your bond model therefore is performing well as also. So column 3 is your INS tax rate, 22, 23, 28, 19, stayed there for a couple of years. Then we essentially switched 3 pennies over temporarily, brought it down to 25.19. You were able to do that because your INS fund is performing exceptionally well. And then now it's going trickling back up to 28.19 with your permission when you set the tax rates in the summer or into the fall in this case. But 25.19, and then last year we took it back up 1 penny. The intent is to take it up 1 penny again to 27.19, and then follow that the next year going back up to 28.19. Those are the plans subject to your authorization going forward. In the far right column, the column 5, Interesting story. You get to 2017-18 where you get 11.3 million in INS fund balance. You built it up over time, and then you deployed it to pay bonds off early, right? And so we bring it down on purpose, it trickled down from 11 to 2 million. We started building it back up. It got to 10 million. Then we deployed that money for debt management again. And again, it's trickling back up as we speak to 6.3 million. Keep in mind, again, I'm repeating what I tell you pretty much every time. We have to treat your INS fund balance on an 8/31 basis, not a June 30 basis. 8/31 is the state's fiscal year, but it's also our payment year. We have a payment in February and in August. So our true fund balance is after we make our August payment. So that's why the number there is 8/31 and slightly different than what you would see in your audit. So your outstanding debt service before the next issuance, you can see that fading debt service through 2033, and then a drop off in 34 and a drop off in 40. It's rare that I have a school district that can have this style of debt service profile. It's accelerated principal, fading debt service. I wished I had this in every district, but that's just not the case. Again, another reason why you are a high credit quality district, because you have very manageable debt service position. So here's where we are with respect to each of the three propositions, Proposition A, B, and C. Of course, we've issued all of Proposition C. Proposition B has 9 million. We've been issuing those and have intent to issue that 3 million every other year for the next 3 installments. None of those bonds are planned for this one because we sold in 25 3 million. So again, planning 2027 for the next 3 million. The 29,650,000 in Proposition A that is authorized but yet issued is what we intend to issue. These are again facility bonds that almost methodically we have implemented this bond program, dating back to 2022 when we were planning on it and just implementing these installments almost on schedule. So the plan of finance this time is to issue the 29,650,000. Likely will be a negotiated transaction as we've used in the past. The amortization length on these will be less than the prior Proposition A bonds because we have the room. So we have a 13-year amortization. I'll show that to you graphically in just a moment. With at least a 10-year optional redemption provision. We may move that up to 9, 8, 7 years. But at least a 10-year optional prepayment provision. Permanent school fund guarantee, the interest rate in the model right now today is 4.75. We will beat that rate unless something crazy happens between now and the time we lock in the rates. Again, your tax base continues to be very good. We do have in here on the 313 assumption of depreciation. Again, that keeps your debt service declining slightly over time with the big drop-offs out in the future. And then the bottom one is that we plan to capture back one of those pennies that we took away from the INS side a couple of years ago. So here's what it looks like graphically. The light blue is the 29,650,000 that we plan to issue going out to 2039. Putting that in exactly as we planned on top of the dark bars, which are the outstanding debt service. The light green, the light pink, the light yellow, those are those two-year technology bonds with the light green occurring next year and then 2 years later and so forth. And then the red line just shows the slight decline. And then the graph, the statements at the top, the boxes at the top show the 25 to 26, 26 to 27, and 27 to 28, which is exactly what the voters were expecting when they voted to approve these bonds.
Just for the benefit of the audience, you mentioned that because we have room, our term would be 13 years. What would it normally be?
So
what's a normal one? Just so the community understands.
So for facility bonds, and you have a mixture of facility improvements. We've had new construction and we've had renovations. So renovations are anywhere from 15 to 25 year style of bonds. New construction is anywhere from 20 to 30 year type of bonds. State law allows us to go 40. again, I'm not sure if I can get this thing to go backwards, but if I can, maybe off of let's try. No. So, yeah, there you go. There it is. I found it now. Okay. So when you look at this profile, we go out to 2045, only 20 more years, 19 more years. Many of my districts would be, this graph would be increasing over the next 5 years and go level off and go all the way out 30 years. Law allows up to 40 years. We're able to amortize in a much shorter period of time at a tax rate that is relatively modest by Texas standards. When I talk about those districts that are growing in their debt service payment profile and then flattening off for the next 30 years, they also generally are at 50 cents of INS tax rate rather than in the 20s. Right. So to put the 13 years in perspective, I like it because it levels off everything through 33, and then it pays it off entirely in 39. And it's for some of your renovations projects that are part of this overall program, so it's shorter than the useful life of what you're doing. So for those reasons, for the audience to know, this is a profile that, again, I don't get to show in most of my board meetings. Yep. By the way, I'm going to go back one more time. Although we put this in a graph and a chart and it looks like a static model, these are very dynamic models. So as we implement the light blue and then the light green, the light pink, and the light yellow, your tax base will continue to likely outperform everything we're showing in this model, and you will have those same choices to use excess revenues from the INS side and accelerate these bars. So I would be surprised if the profile is not actually even shorter than this over the next 3 to 5 years as we move forward.
That's what I know. In a perfect world, we pay off that debt in 2046. The reality is, I guess we're on a cycle of every 8 to 10 years, approximately. But like, is there a chart that shows like that's the total debt, but like what the breakdown is from past year debt service from past bonds? We have an analysis of that. Like, how much do we owe? We just had the most recent bond, but how much do we owe from previous the last, maybe the 2 bonds before that?
So here's our outstanding debt service in principal and interest form prior to those colored layer bars on top. So that shows you the decline. It shows you very heavy amount of principal up front, and it shows you those drop-offs. And that's all of your bonds together. We do have the chart that has it by series each time it's been issued. I think that's probably what you're asking for.
I'm not asking, I was just curious if we had that.
Yeah. We have each series of bonds and the call date. I will send that to you, and we'll just provide that one chart. It would be very good for you to look at. I kind of abstracted from that given kind of the PowerPoint environment, because it looks like, let me see. This is what it looks like, because there's each series of bonds, and then one bond stays outstanding, but we refund another part. So we have one bond that becomes 2. And this is the sheet that I think is probably most beneficial to you that we need to provide.
And I guess what I'm getting at, I think my understanding is that we typically pay off these a lot earlier than expected, right?
Yes.
You just said they have up to 40 years. Are there any examples of us carrying any debt in the last 30, 40 years up to that 40-year mark?
No, I don't think we've ever gone even 30 years here.
Okay, thank you.
It's been 25 years and shorter. Yeah. And most of the 25-year bonds were accelerated as part of the overall program over time.
Thank you.
Yes. So back to the last schedule, this is our timing, and there's 3 to be determineds here. Literally, when I was looking at last year's presentation, it's almost the same board meeting, and we had a very specific schedule of when we're going to price these bonds. You are under new laws. Most of them are very difficult, challenging, and not helpful. I'm just going to be honest, right? Tax rate setting this year, budget setting, tax rate setting will be a challenge. It will require more detail. We're not exactly sure how we are going to, for lack of a better term, dovetail the bond issuance with the tax rate setting. We have some ideas, we have some concepts. It's about an hour-and-a-half workshop that nobody wants to talk through, but Stacy's going to get a chance. So we're gonna talk through it and find a time. But we plan to issue these in the next several months. So I think in this district, we set our tax rate maybe in September. We kind of post the notice in August. So sometime in July, August, September is likely time period in which we will issue and sell these bonds. With the adoption of the order that's been presented by your bond counsel, Tom Sage is in the House if we have any legal questions. But by adoption of that order, you're delegating authority to the administration to complete the sale of bonds in a timely manner. It's really beneficial in today's world with the regulations that we have to go through to do it. To tie it to a board meeting would make it very, very tricky. By giving us the authorization up front and letting us do it according to market conditions and timing, that's very beneficial to us. So with that, again, sometime over the next 3 to 5 months, we should be selling these bonds, and we'll give you a report once they're sold as a discussion item in your board packet. But again, the order is before you. Again, Tom, I don't know if you have anything to add or just to answer questions, but Tom's group is great to work with. They make our job easy when we can concentrate on finance and they concentrate on law and keep us out of trouble. So with that, we appreciate the time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Board, if there are no questions, I will solicit a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-03, authorizing issuance of the district's unlimited tax school building bonds subject to certain parameters. We have a motion by trustee Hanks and a second by trustee Thompson. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, board. Turn now to item C, approve resale of tax foreclosure property described as lots 7 and 8, block 62, Bayfront to LaPorte, HCAT account number 0061-520-000-007.
All right, good evening again. So tonight we will discuss the tax property resale minimum bid options for a property owned by LaPorte ISD. Justin Barlow is here with Purdy Brandon to answer any questions you might have as we go through our presentation. So first and foremost, the address of this property that we own is on Holmes Avenue, and we've owned it since 1968. It's a tax sale judgment that was owed to us for $426.59. It's a lot that the size is 6,250 square feet, and it's just a lot only. There's no structural improvements on it. The map you see there is where it actually is. It is the lot is south of Main Street and west of Morgan's Point. So the decision by the board is you can continue to hold on to the property and we not sell it, or you can decide on a minimum bid that feels reasonable for tax resale. And if you choose to go with the minimum bid, we have 3 options here for you. Option 1 is the estimate owed to the district at the time of judgment, which the amount of the judgment was $427. Mr. Barlow said the estimated cost would be about $500, so that would be selling that property for $926. That's option 1. Option 2 is 80% of the taxable value of the same size property. So there is a property number 3 is the same size, and it is for, oh goodness, I apologize.
38.
It is on the market, I believe, for $48,043. Yes, and so 80% of that would be $38,000. Or option 3 is an average of the square footage valuation on comparable properties in the area. So you have property 1, property 2, and property 3. Property 1 is a direct neighbor of the lot and has a home located on it. It's 3 times the size of the potential resale property. Property 2 is also a neighboring property and is twice the size and has a small home on it. And property 3 is 2 lots south of the resale property and is the same size with no living area. So it's exactly like this property that we're discussing. It's valued again at $48,437 per HCAD. So if you take the square footage of only the land It's $7.75 per square foot, and the square footage of the land being 6,250 would be a minimum bid of $48,437. So the recommendation of then Dr. Jackson and myself would be to go with option 3 because that is the value of a property that is right across the street from it. But again, that's totally up to the board's decision.
I hate to break it to the board. He agreed I could buy it for $930. Oh no, all jokes aside, I'm just curious. Like, so if we own the property, do we have to go to a bid, or can it be listed by a realtor, or what's the process?
So there are a couple of options that we have because it is listed, or it was struck off to the district. You can sell it at a private sale, which is what we're essentially bringing to the board this evening. You could also put it up for a public sale and let it be bid on, and let the bid kind of go through the same process as it would have back in the 1960s. Naturally, I mean, and I can just tell you from other tax resales that we've done in the area, the market dictates what the price will be. And we all know lots are going like hotcakes these days. So it would, wouldn't necessarily be a dollar figure that the board would set if we went with the public sale. The other little tidbit to add is that the realtor that had reached out to our office, his name is Andy Rolfe. He's a realtor that's, I guess, been well known in the district for some time now. Mr. Bailey's worked with him, he said, for over 20 years, and I can't even remember what I was doing 20 years ago. But I say that to say, this is, again, why we're kind of bringing this to the board with the assistance of Ms. McDowell and Dr. Jackson, because it's going to set a precedent, because if Dr. Jackson goes and finds another cheap property from the 1950s, how do we handle that process? So, I guess we're all treading uncharted waters, and so we just wanted to make sure that we put something in place that's fair and reasonable, but also equitable to the taxpayers.
So did I hear that? Is there a possibility we own additional properties from a long time ago we don't know about?
It could.
Yes.
How do we find out if we
back taxes?
So that's exactly right, Dr. Jackson. It really becomes a hit or miss sort of situation. There are ways that we can find, properties that are listed in the name of Porte ISD. Mm-hmm. However, there may be properties that are listed in Harris County's name that we also have an interest in and what have you. So, and those could be anything from lot and block like what we have here to a ditch, that used to be a gutter and, has been partitioned out. So.
Any more questions?
So what would be your professional recommendation?
Obviously, I'm here as a hired gun for the district. So, but I say that because even in our discussion, we see a number of things. We see the 80% mark. What's the value as it stands today? And let's at least start with 80%. Some districts take the position of, hey, get it out of our hands and get it back on the tax roll, sell it for the minimum amount. But I say that to say, I think the biggest thing, in my professional opinion, would be to keep in mind that this is going to set a precedent, because again, the next person that comes to follow is going to say, well, hey, you charge this person X and now you're charging me Y. Right. So again, that's kind of where it becomes a slippery slope or uncharted waters, because it's like, well, what do we want to do as a district?
This is why option 3 gives us protection there. Right.
I believe so, because again, it's kind of an objective figure.
When you look at the cost alone, like, is this option cheaper than using a realtor? Like the option, are there any fees or anything with this that would be associated with putting it on a bid?
I believe so.
Traditionally, yes, because as you said, there's fees that go into it. They have to post it, they have to market it, that whole deal. Fortunately, this realtor did his due diligence and found it and brought it to our office, thinking that he's going to get a deal, and he might likely still get a deal because of those fees that are associated with marketing it and trying to get it from a third party.
Okay. The other question I had, if Mr. McDowell, if we were to sell this or any property, where does that money go, into the general fund, or is it
will.
earmarked?
It will go into the general fund, yes, sir.
Okay.
So my only question is, if we go with option 3 and nobody pays $48,000,
then we still own it.
Correct.
But do we have a period of time that we allow it to sit before we can bring it back to the board and change our minds? I mean, I don't want the property to sit where we could make $25,000. We're going to sit on 48. Yeah.
So to be honest with you, Mr. Perth, the next step would be for us to go back to Mr. Rolfe and say, hey, this is what the board said. It's going to be this $48,000 figure. He can say yay or nay. If he says nay, obviously we'll inform the board, let everyone know. And then maybe that's another conversation that we have to say, well, would you take 25? And then it becomes a negotiation from there. But again, it's just, it would be kind of a similar discussion that we're having now. Well, if he didn't take 45, what would be fair? What do we deem reasonable?
So is he the, I guess that's what I don't understand. So when we say bid, I'm thinking, I've been doing like online auctions for real estate in the last couple of weeks. I thought it would go out to a mass audience. So you're saying that it's just going to go to
It's
one single realtor?
private sale.
So if he says no to that, then we're back at square one.
Correct.
Which, we're right back where we are right now,
Right.
which it's not hurting us.
Right.
It could help
On
us.
the property. Yeah.
Like, we're not at his beck and call.
Right.
He came to us, and, yeah.
About recommendations,
Okay.
don't give it away.
The only other thing I would maybe like for us to see if we own any other property. I mean, if there's a light
We'll get a
investigation that
list.
can be done into that,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
We'll get a list of, together of, we can easily do it through, you just go to HCAD and put in the Port ISD and see what we own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have board, anybody have questions? Any more questions? So as I see it, I guess we have essentially 4 options. Option 1, I seek a motion for either option 1, 2, or 3, or I guess the option to table it all together. So does anyone on the board like to make a motion for any of the options?
I'll make a motion for option 3.
Okay. I'll second that. We have a motion and a second by trustee Hanks and a second by trustee Crutcher for option 3, average square foot valuation on comparable properties in the area. Any further discussion?
Nope.
If not, please vote. Motion carries.
Oh.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, board.
All right. Thank y'all so much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my $930, whatever, man. All right, we'll turn to item D, discuss and consider approval of allocation of instructional materials allotment, IMA funds for math instructional materials.
Ms. Abram? Okay. Here's the presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Howdy.
Good evening, President Martin, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Jackson. Thank y'all for allowing us the time to talk to you about the instructional materials and our process for our textbook committee for selecting kindergarten through Algebra 2 textbook materials. We began this work actually last year with especially our junior high and our high school teachers looking at our instructional materials and really looking at the strengths that we had, but also knowing that that adoption was over 10 years old. And that would be common for a textbook life. And so when we looked at that, knowing how much has changed with STAR 2.0, as we've presented in other previous, how CCMR is changing, all of the things that are changing for students, that textbook at the time was the right choice, but we know now that we with the committee that we needed to bring something else in to meet the needs of our students and the curriculum. And so part of this was the textbook committee was formed. We took a deep dive into our TEKS and looked at our priority standards, the things that our students might be struggling with vertically, but also those things that help with college algebra readiness, our advanced math. And so we really looked at those TEKS very carefully when we were looking at all of these materials, knowing that STAR 2.0 is now, but in 2027, as we've talked about before, the state is changing the assessment again. And notice the common thread here is really the state of Texas and driving assessment, driving curriculum, and thinking about where that alignment lies, okay? And where we can set our teachers best up for success for the rigor that's required of the curriculum, the state curriculum, the TEKS, and also the assessment that the students have to ultimately take. And as we think about beyond our EOC algebra, we think about college career and their readiness for the beyond LaPorte ISD. So, I don't know if you...
No, you said it well.
Okay. All right, and I just wanted to just highlight briefly just the work of the assessment. And you see quite a few people sitting back here, and we will introduce several of them. Some of our specialists, our teachers, our interventionists are here that have been a part of this work and have been a part of some campus visits, district visits, and also just really looking to answer the questions and looking at this material very closely. So as we talked about, we want to look at alignment to our strategic plan and our goals for the district, as well as state accountability, and ultimately what our students need. We want to support our teachers with aligned materials that support Tier 1 instruction for all students, Tier 2 and Tier 3 for those needs as they arise, and just-in-time interventions, and materials that are going to support us to do all of those things. We also know that we've had traditionally in LaPorte an advanced math pathway that has had students access algebra in 8th grade. We've also created another pathway for our students, as you all know. Just this past year was our first year to advance our 5th graders, and some of them that qualified for that were taking the 6th grade test in 5th grade, in addition to the other pathways. So there's 2 pathways now in LaPorte to access algebra in 8th grade. And so we knew that we needed to have those supports for our students with this adoption. The other thing that we needed to do was think about the State Board of Education had an approved list of textbooks that were considered 100% aligned to the TEKS. But we know when that's said, sometimes that could be that they just mention the TEK. So we have to be very careful with that, in that what's the depth and the complexity that is going into the TEKS. And so that was also part of the needs assessment that we had. That's the slide. One of the things we had to look at, and I want to share, Ms. Abram and I talked about this in depth, is really for the committee, is thinking about what has the need been in LaPorte ISD for our math. And you all know, as we talk about data and our assessments and how our students are growing, in middle school math, we know that there is a need to strengthen our math. But as we talk about, and most of the people that are part of this work in the audience, we talked about how this doesn't start in middle school because we have to strengthen our foundation. That's part of the reason why we were a part of the Strong Foundations work, that grant, that for 2 years we were a part of that, and doing specific walks and providing teachers feedback and giving them that math framework that's in your folder, that was created by the committee last year, so that we could align ourselves to the beliefs and the vision for this math work. And so that all went into this needs assessment that we talked about starting last year and really this fall. Just wanted to give you a brief timeline for all of this work that the specialists and the committee put together. Again, I told you we started really these conversations last school year, but then continued into October. And you can just see several of the things that we've done, which include having a textbook team, a leadership team that really looked at what the textbook was we were going to do in January, which was the teacher preview. That was a textbook hearing. Every math teacher came and viewed all of the math materials that were available. We also have several, you can see, visits to districts that have recently implemented the Bluebonnet program, including Waller ISD and Deer Park ISD. We've also been in contact with Liberty ISD. They're just a close neighbor, and they have implemented as well. And then also we've been talking to Goose Creek ISD. So you can just see, after every one of these things, we've had debrief meetings with the committee. What is your feedback? What is your input? The turning point, and I will leave some of this for some of our presenters, in February, March, you can see we did a TEKS deep dive. I just want to make note of that right there, because we were still saying, well, there's still a lot of other resources that are good too. Are we still looking at those? And once we did this TEKS deep dive with our teachers, they started seeing a lot of aha of just the depth and complexity and the complete view that Bluebonnet offered, that some of the other resources that were being used by neighboring districts, when we called them, they said that some of the other resources that were very popular as well, had some good resources. They said that they were having to supplement about 40%. So what that means is teachers are still having to create materials in addition to the textbook. So those are things we're trying to get away from, so that our teachers are given the what, which is what's intended by curriculum. And they kind of have the how. So you talk about the art of teaching and being able to do some of the engaging strategies. And it might look a little different from class to class, but you're still teaching the same thing. So I just wanted to give you that brief timeline. And I talked on this deep dive. This is just a couple of pictures from this deep dive at Legacy Complex that our teachers was well attended. They stayed for quite some time doing this, and we really looked at our priority TEKs as I was talking about before. And they started really noticing how complete and aligned from grade to grade vocabulary was. The problem solving. Kids weren't hearing it different ways at different times, different classrooms. They were hearing it the same way, and they were seeing the carryover from elementary to the junior high classrooms all the way to algebra. As I shared, we did some district visits. These are just a few pictures. We didn't take pictures of students or teachers, but they were very actively engaged. Teacher was walking around the room. A lot of the resources and tools that we have in the district were available there. They were just utilizing them a little differently. There was a lot of student discourse, conversations and collaboration in the classrooms. And the teachers said that at first they felt like there was a lot of teacher voice, but as they got more comfortable, they could turn it over to the kids a lot more. They were still able to use a lot of the middle picture is because a lot of our teachers talked about STAR preparation. We want to make sure that teachers still feel comfortable, that our teachers are prepared for the assessment. And so they were showing how there's room for that too. One of the big takeaways we also had when we went to the visits was fluency practice. And when we think about that, when we were in school, it was like fact practice, right? So it wasn't, but sometimes we'll go to grades and say, well, they just don't know their facts. This is built into every day for a very brief time. So is problem solving. And so that fact fluency becomes like concept fluency at the upper levels. And so this brings it in more often and more frequently so the kids see it more. Sometimes we call that spiraling the curriculum or revisiting things, reteaching just-in-time intervention, as Julie was talking about earlier when we were visiting. These are just some key takeaways, and I know there's a lot of words on this slide, but really these are things that after we visited and we heard teacher panels talk about this and we heard administrator panels, these are some of their takeaways that they had that they were sharing out with our team. And it's very aligned to the TEKs. The ELPs are the English Language Proficiency Standards. Those are standards that are they've been in existence, but they're also updating them. So there's going to be more content-based need for that with the curriculum that we adopt. The big thing is students are being exposed on a regular basis every day to on grade level material, and that's very important so that we don't create gaps. From grade to grade. There's also opportunities for practice, for discussion, for representation and writing. Yes, writing in the math curriculum, which is something that's one of our focus areas in the district that our principals are very passionate about. These are just results that they're seeing, and some of them were just in their first year of implementation. They are seeing student growth, they're seeing growth in achievement and meets and masters, and they're also seeing an increase in teacher support with these materials. I talked about this alignment of vocabulary and problem solving. The kids aren't seeing it a different way in every grade. They're seeing common things so that they can attach their thinking to. Very engaging. And then what it takes, and this is an important column on the right, it is going to take the support and time and resources is what that kind of ties to that service provider we were talking about. We do have great outstanding, I will say, supports in the district from the instructional specialists, the interventionists, the principals. That's already in place. But this is with a new adoption, being able to add another layer of support for our teachers and giving them the time to do that. What's going to be a different is, we used to call it lesson planning where you write your lesson plans. This is a lesson internalization. In your folders, there's a couple of samples in the back. There's an elementary, a junior high, and an Algebra 1. You can just take a look at it. It's very complete, and it's things that teachers were used to do on their own. And some of you are nodding your heads. As classroom teachers, we know, and these are things that we now call internalize. And you go in and you can annotate it and make notes. and think about your students and how they're going to respond to this. And there's collaboration built in for teachers to learn from one another from that when they've annotated their lessons. The district said that it is important that you implement this with fidelity, not, oh gosh, this is hard, let's stop and let's do something else, let's pull out other things, but just to stay with it and trust the process. Which we've done. I'm gonna go ahead and compare it to, and Julie and I have been talking about this. It's really very similar to our TXRL, our Texas Reads, Texas Leads, our literacy initiative, where we've gone to the high quality instructional materials that the teachers weren't used to teaching with before. Because remember, we were doing guided reading and balanced literacy, which was great at the time, but we know, and research shows, that structured literacy is for the direction we need to go, and we're starting to see those great results, and teachers are turning that corner and seeing. That's the feedback we're getting. This is very similar to that, and a high quality instructional material, and using it in this way is like what we're doing for primary literacy. Okay, I'm gonna now, Julie, did you want to come? Let's please do. Thank you.
To answer your question, Deanne, about research, what Angie alluded to at the beginning of her presentation was the strong foundations work that we've been doing. Strong foundations is about the research. It's research-based instructional strategies. So what we know about good math instruction is grounded in these 4 practices. And so the strong foundations work that we have done is ensuring that we, A, understand what those 4 foundational instructional strategies are, but then B, what are our expectations in LaPorte ISD for how that looks in every math classroom. So the foundation of instruction is research-based instructional strategies, which is the foundation of Bluebonnet. So that's key takeaway number 1. The second thing is that in the pandemic, during 2020, there were a lot of free resources out there for the state, for districts to grab onto. Eureka Math was one of those resources that were free, but through the use of the early adoption of Eureka Math and its widespread use in the state of Texas, there was a lot of research done on its effectiveness. And it's evolved over time since 2020, but all the research that I've read says that the students who have used and the districts that have implemented the Eureka Math during that time saw greater rates of growth for their use. And we're anticipating and we're seeing early studies show, as it's evolved into Bluebonnet, that continues. So not only are we hearing it from the field and hearing it from our teachers, but the research that's being published is continuing to show that trend, that students in districts that utilize this resource to fidelity as it's intended are seeing greater gains in math. No. So it's different at every grade level.
Savas, yes, we're using Savas right now, and is it which Pearson? So 2 different textbooks at different levels is what we're using, and those were the adoptions we had several years ago that we were talking about.
Bluebonnet only for math?
No, but this particular, what we're looking at right now, we're only looking at math. But they have created a state curriculum for reading. And which
so that was my next question. So they do have one for reading, and we are currently on TXRL. Is that our plan?
So that's a grant, and that's an initiative. What we are right now is HMH, like Houghton Mifflin, if you've heard of them. So that's the resource that we've been using, but we're not currently up for adoption yet. That's not next year, but the year after that. That's a good question. Okay, we've got some great people here to talk about from the campus perspective, if y'all are okay with that. We have Mr. Nicholas Ramirez from College Park. We're so glad he's coming.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the future for the math instruction here in LaPorte ISD. I know our goal was simple for the committee to just provide high-quality research-based math curriculum, and I think that this program really does ensure it. I know that what we do in the classroom is an art, and a lot of our teachers here in our district have their favorite things that they do to paint these masterpieces inside, and a lot of them tend to be teacher pay teacher. And so I think that when we are trying to get a curriculum that is for everybody, we want to make sure that we are using something that's very cohesive. And I think the idea that I could have a student, my son, go from one campus to another campus and pop in and be on the same curriculum from another teacher, no matter where they go, I think it's a great thing to have. One other thing that I really like that is that it's very conceptual for number sense. And one of the things I preach in my classroom is that math number sense. And when we look at grade levels in kindergarten and we look at these things called number bonds, that we start playing with the numbers and seeing them. I think when we grew up, and at least when I grew up, I think numbers is concrete. 53 was 53 and there was nothing else. And so getting the kids to see that I always say numbers are Play-Doh and that I can have modality in those numbers, seeing 53 as 40 and 13 and other things to make it more easy, I think that's where I see a big benefit to Bluebonnet, starting those things so early so that when we get to 3rd and 4th grade, that it's not such a concrete number. We can move those numbers around. There was a trick that I did once before with a group of adults where I have 400 and I took a number away from both and I got the same answer as if I was regrouping and rounding, and I blew a bunch of parents' mind because they couldn't see that we could play with those numbers. And so I actually got to, sorry, forgive me. But just that key point of that it's cohesive, the lessons are detailed, and that it really pushes for those kids to see mathematical reasoning as far as getting their idea to peak. There was language in there that sometimes I think when we try to look into the star, there's like 2 times, 3 times, things like that we seem to, for as adults, that we seem very easy for us to have. Sometimes struggles for those kiddos just to kind of see one of those things. And so just wanted to make sure that I highlighted those points, and I also got to just teach a couple of lessons using it, and I saw such an easy way for it to be streamlined as far as we're following this program. It also connects with our program that we're using at our campus with Zern, and so the language that we're using in these problems is also being super easy and streamlined into Zern, and so the kids would come like, hey, I just saw this when we did it on the worksheet. Yep, exactly. So we know how to do this, and it's easier for those kids, and it leaves out some of those questions that we might not have. When I first started Zern, that I didn't understand how it was asking it, what it was looking like, and the kids had no background knowledge, and I think having those things tied together makes it very easy for us. And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to recap with everything that I've learned, diving into seeing everything and seeing how that program looks like it has the best for everything else as we compared it through our TEAP walk and with our committee. So I think choosing Bluebonnet is a great investment in our high quality instruction for our teachers and our student success. And so thank you for your time and the commitment to the students and staff here in LaPorte. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Ms. Stephanie Keller from Baker is going to come up and talk to y'all.
Come on, Warky.
I'd like to start by taking the opportunity to say thank you for taking interest in the teacher's perspective on our new curriculum. I also want to say that I can only speak from my experience as an educator. In the past 11 years in education, I've taught 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. In my opinion, the Bluebonnet material gives students the opportunity to think for themselves, and because lessons are designed to facilitate productive struggle. Productive struggle is something I'm particularly passionate about, teaching the kids that they need to take time without asking a teacher, talk to each other, try, before they start asking a teacher for help. It offers hands-on engaging tasks and makes math real for students by keeping them locked in and kickstarting critical thinking for the lesson. It has a consistent lesson design, giving the classroom a consistent structure and helps students know what to expect from the learning on a daily basis. I began using Bluebonnet halfway through this school year with the hope that it would assist me in reaching my honors students who needed enrichment. Teaching honors level classes was a new experience for me this year, and Bluebonnet helped me to learn to give those students the space to engage with the math and use their critical thinking. I've been so used to just jumping in to my struggling students and walking with them hand in hand, but it took teaching honors to learn that sometimes you have to step back and give them a minute to discover it on their own. I found that as a teacher, I struggled with giving them enough wait time and space to work through the math without jumping in, but this curriculum structures that into the lessons, as well as opportunities for them to discuss with each other and also to write about their experiences. After the first unit, I found that not only my honor students, but my on-level students excelled as well. It builds in an opportunity for all students to meet high expectations rather than having the whole class wait for the student who struggles the most. It encourages those students to rise to the level of those students who are excelling. I have one student who this year has struggled with engagement, often just coming into the room, just putting his head down. And I spoke with another teacher on campus the other day who came to me and said, this kid was in my class and we were talking about how to find whether the three sides of a triangle form a triangle based on their side lengths. And he couldn't remember how to do it, so he started to just kind of shut down. And the teacher said, do you remember doing a lesson with Miss Keller with spaghetti? And he went, oh, I remember that. And he just jumped back to work because the lesson itself stuck with him. It reaches every student in the middle and builds scaffolds and multimodal supports. And I believe it is really good for new teachers as well, helping them to build their content knowledge. It's structured in such a way that it helps them with the depth of the lessons as they learn their craft. Finally, sixth grade is where students begin to combine the skills that they've learned in isolation in elementary to perform the geometry and algebra that will shape their careers as students. When students struggle in math and reading year after year, the likelihood that they will drop out before graduation increases exponentially. I believe that using this curriculum in lower and middle grades will help to close the gaps from past years that keep that struggle alive and will increase the confidence that will encourage them to continue with their education in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. And now Dr. Kate Griffin is going to come up and talk about it from a high school perspective.
Good evening, board. Dr. Jackson, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. While at the high school we don't technically have a teacher that's been teaching it this year, we've had a lot that were on the committee to help examine this curriculum. And from my perspective, what I really want to talk about, and I promise my remarks will be brief, but the thing that I love about this is the consistency that it brings. We all know that math is very foundational. It builds on itself, and so those skills that they build from the time that they're in kindergarten all the way to when they start to walk through the doors of the high school is really important. And like Ms. Viator spoke about before, we have situations that we've done in the past where we have different curriculums at different levels, different programs, different publishers. Excuse me. So whenever these students make their way through the different schools and the different grade levels, and then they go to two different junior highs and they come back to the high school, depending on the pathway that they took, is depending on the curriculum and the different skills and strategies that they used along the way. And so what ends up happening is that they come sometimes to the ninth grade level with some gaps. And it might be these kids that went to Lomax are really structured and strong in this area because of what was happening there and then what was happening at LPJ. Not that one is any better than the other, but they're just different. And so when they come, and so having a unified curriculum that is all the way through using the same types of strategies, the same types of curriculum, the same cadence in their lesson structure is something that's really important to me and something that's really important for our students as they come to the high school, because it's not just about the importance of them doing well in that Algebra 1 test. They have to have those foundational skills to move to those upper level classes that we're struggling to get kids into. I mean, we do a great job. We have great teachers that are really preparing our kids very well. But the more kids that we have starting at a certain level, we have a better chance of moving them to those higher level classes as they progress through the high school. The last few years, we've done a great job in Algebra 1 getting kids to the approaches level. We've done a pretty good job getting to the meets level, but we're struggling at that master's level. And so having that foundational curriculum all the way through will help fill some of those gaps so that I think we can start on a better playing field when they get into the ninth grade. The other thing that I'll say about the Bluebonnet curriculum and kind of, excuse me, the difference from a lot of the elementary campuses to the high school campus in particular, I can count on one hand the amount of new to the profession teachers that we've hired on one hand that come using an educational program in college. The vast majority of new to the profession teachers that we hire are ACP graduates. I was an ACP graduate, there's nothing wrong with being an HB graduate, but what those teachers lack when they come on that first day of school is a lot of training in lesson structure and lesson design, because it wasn't a part of what their collegiate program was. And so having a curriculum that has a lot of that tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 structures built into it is going to be a great way for us to help pull those teachers into that more mastery level of pedagogy faster. And since it's something that students see from the time that they're in first grade all the way up, it's something that they're used to in the classroom when they're seeing it as well. And so just overall, it provides a really great structure for our students and teachers. Thanks.
Just the next thing is just a couple of pictures of some of our teachers and our students utilizing some of the Bluebonnet preview, because some of our teachers wanted to dive into it. And so I just wanted to share some pictures. And then we talked on some of these, but I just included this slide for you to just look at the committee takeaways from all of the work that's been done. And we talked about this daily fluency practice that helps keep that in front of kids, helps them not spend their cognitive brain power on trying to figure out facts or do them on their fingers or counts or things, and they're just seeing it daily. It does equip, as Dr. Griffin talked about, every teacher to deliver rigorous, aligned, on-grade level instruction. It does align directly with the framework that we have in place that the committee developed a year ago, and also just our vision for mathematics in the district. It provides equity of instruction for all students. They talked on scaffolds, and they also talked on advanced students. And we talked on EB students and also our special education students. And it just really does provide equity of instruction for everyone, no matter the teacher's training level, even our veteran teachers. That connected system is so important, as we know, with the 7 elementary campuses and then Baker and then the pathway to the high school and to DeWalt. We want to make sure that our students feel that connection with their problem solving strategies, with the vocabulary, and how that lesson structure looks. And finally, just that vertical and horizontal alignment throughout kinder and through all the way through Algebra 2. Talked a little bit, and this is about just the implementation plan that we definitely are looking at a very strong implementation plan for our teachers to be successful and our students. We want that to drive the success that they're going to provide and their confidence. Just looking at thinking about planning and implementation, and then a lot of this has to do with bite-sized learning. You can't learn all of this at one time, but really trying, and some of our teachers are like, as soon as we can get our hands on these materials, as soon as we can get training, some of them will want to do it in May. So that's exciting. And then we have, of course, summer trainings and then back to school trainings. But that's going to be ongoing professional learning and support. We also want to strengthen, we talked about, we have current systems in place, but with instructional coaching, one-on-one feedback, team feedback, and also training for our administrators so that they can help coach as well and support it on their campus. Just next steps with this implementation is a needs assessment. We're always looking, I told you about the textbook needs assessment. We're going to look also at where are we currently with systems and where do we need to start and what type of trainings do our teachers need immediately and then as we go. We're going to do some campus walks with just really seeing what exactly is taking place in the classrooms. We do this on a regular basis, but kind of looking for these look-fors that we're talking about to support them. Going to have the teachers be able to preview their content and materials, and then really develop a PD plan for the summer and for next school year, which are things we normally do, but with this, as we know, as with any new implementation of anything new, there's sometimes is a struggle, so we want to make sure and support that in every way that we can. And just in closing, and all of our teachers and campus administrators really we all say it's a long-term investment for everyone because of its being K through 12 and beyond for their mathematics confidence and those pieces. Providing a consistent and rigorous math experience throughout, no matter what classroom you're in, no matter where, if you have a substitute, if you have that's going to be available to the students. And finally, just preparing them for success beyond LaPorte High School. There is on your 2 pages. It was super important for us to recognize all of our math committee that spent time, effort, and asked questions and have been a part of it. A lot of them are out in the audience right now, but there's 2 pages worth of people who are involved in this work. But like, if you're part of the work, can you stand up? And that's a lot of our principals too, so please stand up too. Some of them, they asked, can we all speak? And so they were excited to be here.
We've had so many initiatives focused, in talking about continuity and that alignment, whether it's our branding, our image, discipline, the transaction from junior high to Baker, those kind of things. It's all been, I really think that continuity is that linchpin. That is the missing thing.
Yes, sir.
Focus on it. The program gives us that. I think it's a no-brainer. I think, yes, there's always uncertainty and change.
Yes.
But if this really has the parallels the STAR as well as it was shared with us, I just think that this is a great thing. And ma'am's point to talking about the critical thinking and how important that is, and that's what kids lack. At least when we see them entry-level workers, they don't all possess that quality. So I think there's so many positives just in that short presentation that I could take away, and I really that the undertone about the continuity and vertical alignment is so important. I think that we can almost fix almost any of our problems. Alignment, especially district of our size, right? You shouldn't have all these different experiences. Yes, you're going to have some campus issues, but by and large, the messaging and the curriculum should all be the same. So I really enjoyed the presentation and the perspective by the teachers.
Sir.
I want to piggyback on what you've said. Some of the terms and the ideas that the teachers gave us really speak to the research, right? The research-based instructional strategies that we know are the foundation of this curriculum. You heard our teachers talk about the conceptual learning versus the procedural learning and how that was so important. That's an RB strategy. You heard the idea of the depth of concepts, the rigor of learning as a key RB strategy. You heard them talk about the coherence of key concepts and just that vertical alignment. We don't have 3 curriculums going on, we have 1. And then you heard them talk about productive struggle. All of those are those 4 research-based instructional strategies that are the foundation of what makes this Bluebonnet curriculum different than what we've been doing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly, Angie talked about our implementation plan, and we have had the benefit of a grant-supported implementation partner with our structured literacy shift with Texas Leads initiative. That's been a huge gift for our district, and it has really helped provide the supports that we have needed as district leaders and campus leaders to really ensure that our implementation is strategic, it's monitored, it's in concert with support providers who can help answer questions and troubleshoot and help keep us focused on the right path. And so as part of the implementation plan for Bluebonnet, because we know that this is going to be and require the same level of strategic support, we have been awarded, we applied for 2 grants with TEA, 1 grant with the condition that we would have to adopt Bluebonnet, the other grant that we could adopt any state approved material. When we decided to adopt Bluebonnet, we were then awarded the grant for support from TEA, $788,000 grant award, which provides that service provider to help provide strategic district planning and support, coaching, district leadership training, all the things that Angie alluded to as part of our strong implementation plan. And so the tabled item refers to contracting with Great Minds, who has been a leader in this initiative implementation work in other districts. Our research with our friends have said these folks are great. Great Minds has been an early implementation support provider for other districts, going back to Eureka Math, and some of the best research coming in Bluebonnet implementation is from Great Minds. So we feel very strongly that they are going to be able to provide a level of support for us that will really ensure that any questions or any concerns that a change of this magnitude might bring, that they will be able to help us navigate because they've done it successfully in other districts. So the contract approval that is before you is to use the grant funds that we've been awarded from TEA to contract with Great Minds to provide that direct implementation support for this work. 70% of that grant fund must go to a single service provider for this work as part of the TEA conditions.
So, I'm sorry. So my question on that is, how quickly are we allotted the funds to be able to start rolling out and implementing and getting the resources to implement?
That is a great question. So we have a deadline coming up here at the end of April for us to submit our, once we approve this, hopefully, then we will submit our budget proposal to TEA, and we'll be able to, once the budget proposal is received and approved, in other words, how do we plan to spend the money, then we should be able to receive notification of when we'll receive those funds. We hope very, very soon. Should be a quick turnaround. I don't know, Amanda, do you have any more details on that?
Can either of you speak to, I know there's been some talk around different trustees and school districts talking about that the TEA reimburses you for every child who's using that curriculum. Can you speak to that and what those amounts are?
So the TEA has restructured the instructional materials allotment. It used to be the districts would get a single pot of money, and from that pot of money you could buy any instructional materials that were allowable expenses as dictated by the state, and that included everything from a textbook to a computer and everything kind of in between. Over the past few years, they have restructured the way that those funds are allocated. Now they are getting a little more clear. They are saying, well, there are 3 pots of money. One pot of money can be spent on all those things that we're accustomed to, all those allowable state-approved resources that may not be an OER or Bluebonnet, other resources, supplemental resources, things like that. A second pot of money is for the purchase of, and Nikki, I know you're in the audience, so you can help me if I get it wrong. She's my IMA guru. The second pot of money is for the printing of OER. So OER is a free resource, but the state requires printed materials for us to implement. So they allocate a certain amount per child for the printing of these OER adopted materials. And then there's a third pot of money that goes to so it's very complicated. But that, I think, is what they're referring to. There's no kickback. We don't get a bonus pack because we've adopted Bluebonnet, but there is a very specific amount of money dedicated for the printing of OER that if we do not use it, we don't use it.
Yes, and what I read was some sources said $40 and some said $60 per student, right?
So that's 40 and
okay,
20.
neither here nor there.
Yeah, tell me.
But when that money comes in, we have to use it within that calendar year, not school year, or we lose it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And some people I talked to in other districts who have not adopted Bluebonnet have told me that the reason they didn't is because it's very heavily print. It's not digital.
It is.
And it's actually both.
And
So-
we're very
yeah.
digital.
So-
from my classroom visits that I've been to, we're very digital.
The great news is it's
are our
both.
teachers going to approach this as a step kind of backwards, going back to having to print a bunch of sheets, and are we going to have enough paper to do so?
The printing costs are going to be from a service provider, and it won't be. It'll be like a booklet, a book.
Good question.
Booklet. Underestimated booklet.
Do we have to buy those from that provider, or we're printing those ourselves?
No, we buy them from a printing provider.
Yeah, that's part of the adoption that you'll see for Great Minds as well as Carnegie. They are 2 of the people who print that have been allowed by the state, right, Julie, to print those materials, and people have had very good experiences because part of that, speaking to the digital, we not only get the student and the teacher guides in print, because a lot of people do like to have their hard copies and write on them, but they also provide a very user-friendly platform. And I know our specialists have been very involved with that and asking those questions. I know, yes, they were very intent on us, our teachers, being able to get that because they're able to search it very easily. It's a very user-friendly platform that teachers were showing us, and actually Deer Park ISD showed us that. That was one of the big things that their teachers really enjoyed, was being able to access those things digitally. And like you said, a lot of our teachers model in a digital manner with their iPad or their laptop, and the students are able to do that as well. Yeah, but we do. I will say this. I'm going to say this part. A lot of the paper, as you're talking about, or the student workbooks, we saw in classrooms at Waller as well as Deer Park and probably many other. The students are doing a lot more pencil and paper as we used to do, math on pencil and paper. There are ways for them to use like an application like we use now with Schoology, which is one of our pieces that teachers can then put the answers in and it can help them grade. I mean, that's still some capability, but there are we saw a lot of paper and pencil activities going on and students highly engaged in it at all levels, elementary, junior high, high school.
So is the time that the teacher has already having this lesson plan ready?
Well, we think that there will be some grading. There will be, but then, as always, right? I mean, because a lot of teachers, as they walk around, they're evaluating student work in the minute. They're wanting to do it right then, so they know if they can reteach, whether it's on paper or whether it's on the computer. And a lot of the students have gotten to where not only are they working it out on paper, then they're just putting their answer in, but the teacher is wanting to grade the work, right there. So I'll say that is something that we're going to work through with, especially some of our high school teachers had that question, of what about these, and what was told in another district is no matter what, because you're going to a new resource, you're going to have to recreate this, whether it's in the computer now or not. So those are just things where we really know and understand we're going to have to work through and provide teachers time to do those things. And they've said it takes a little bit to make it your own and to figure out what will work there and what you just want to see on paper. Please.
The state rolled this curriculum. A few months later, it was over 42,000 errors.
We did see that in the Houston Chronicle, yes.
Yes, it was all over the place.
Yes.
But do we feel confident that those have been corrected?
It's a good question. And one of the things, and that was actually when I met with the high school team, they had that question. And I will say that most of those errors were in the reading language arts curriculum, yes. There were things in the math that were like charts and graphs that they thought they wanted to upgrade and say they got feedback from teachers that these might not have been the best, so let's try to do something different. Some of the answer keys, the way that they were laid out, but it was mostly like periods, commas, things like that. But what's great about this is they can fix it in the moment, and then they have access to the updated materials online. So what we say about other curriculum pieces, we don't even know. They don't really tell us, right?
In all
Julie
the years
has-
that I have been in, and it's just been a few, right, in education, there hasn't been a curriculum that I've adopted that hasn't a textbook that hasn't come across my desk that hasn't had an error or 2 or 10 or 5. And then when you have these books and they're printed incorrectly, you may or may not get a new shipment of books. You might get a new page that you're told to insert manually. I mean, so the benefit of what we've got now in modern world is that we can have these corrections made, as Angie mentioned, in real time.
So I guess I'll start with this. We appreciate all the work, the hours, the man hours that went into this. We appreciate you guys including, soliciting the feedback from the staff, the teachers, the people that are hands and feet, and certainly the work that went into getting the grants. And so I think everybody on this board and everybody on it, everybody like wants continuity. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, that's been kind of my frustration for a long time, more as a parent. I have a 5th grader, and my one of my staff members also has a 5th grader at a different school here, both in LaPorte ISD. And just on math, we had a conversation last week, strangely, about how different their approach. Not that one's right or wrong, it's just they're totally different. And I still in contention, we're a small enough district, I don't understand why we don't have that continuity, not just across math, but all other subjects. So my question to you guys tonight is twofold. first of all, is this out of the system? I know the state's pushing this, right? But the state pushes a lot of crap, a lot of things that aren't always the best, right? So if you guys full confident this is the best, will this be the one that gives us the best continuity across all campuses? That's my first question.
We do believe that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, if, I guess when you said something a little earlier, Ms. Couture,
Yes, sir.
that the ELA stuff is not up for another couple of years, why does it take, so we're 111 years in existence in the district.
Sir.
Why does it take so long to get continuity across, not just math, but science, reading, social studies, and what's the plan? I know, again, I don't have can worms with this, but like, what is the plan to get us all aligned across all subjects?
You know, whenever you have curriculum that relies on teacher development of lessons, you're going to have the chance of having lack of continuity. And then when you have different campuses and different, you know, it just gets exponential. I think to your point, you know, our curriculum specialists have worked really hard across the district to try to develop that continuity, to ensure that, you know, our expectations, that we're following the curriculum, that we're, you know, calling things the same thing, that we're teaching it in the same way. It's a process. And so I think that what will help us to continue to turn that corner is when you have a managed curriculum like this, where the lessons are developed, the continuity is there. Now you put your, as our teachers explained, you are able then to put your own independent flair on how it's implemented in the classroom. The continuity doesn't change. I think when you have the variable of, you know, autonomy and lesson design, that continuity wavers, and that's a hard thing to standardize when we have that autonomy still.
And
that was your question.
And I would say, you know, to Julie's point of this is supplementing of, you have a curriculum, but when we have, well, I think this would be more fun, or I think, and you just kind of keep handpicking out of these supplemental resources, which might be great in isolation, but then you're exposing kids to different things in different classrooms. And so we're trying to get away from that, to your point of how can we streamline this and how can we make it more aligned. It's really a commitment of not only having this, but implementing it and really supporting. And when I say monitoring, I mean be able to give people feedback about how they're doing that. So
And I want to make it clear, I know that you guys have made tremendous strides in the last 5 or 6 years of not having curriculum like that.
Yes, sir.
It's come night and day. I know we have a long way to go. What I hear, I guess one of the fears is the way I put it, is that some of our master level teachers, our more tenured teachers, maybe I heard it presented like it's an art form. They might not have the opportunity to be a master, if you will. Like, so. But I've also heard it explained to me that this is kind of like the baseline. Is that correct? Like, can you kind of articulate on that a little bit, where if there's a fear from some of these teachers who've been around a long time, that they have to not adopt a new system, that they are not going to be able to thrive? Because we know we want uniformity, but I don't want it to be like so black and white. We want each teacher's different and special, right? So will they have the ability within the system to thrive, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think that is absolutely the intention of and the plan for our work. I think that we will see experienced teachers lean into this because it allows students to come. Teachers will know what kids should have learned, right? Like, there's this whole notion of kids come and they say, well, I didn't learn that last year in so-and-so's class. And okay, and so the critical mass, or you start teaching to what kids say they didn't know, whereas with a unified curriculum like this, an experienced teacher can say, no, actually you did learn this last year, and so we're going to keep moving on, and you stay in that rigor that is the RBs, and you don't lean into the off-level grade instruction that can come from a lack of that continuity. I think experienced teachers are going to thrive in that and appreciate having that consistency.
The way that it was described in other districts and what I've seen is this productive struggle that we're talking about for students, and we've been describing it also with this implementation, and when it's new, that's going to be all of us for a little bit, because as you talked about a baseline, and we've actually talked about this in our committee, some people thought like with Eureka and those things, the baseline was down here, but actually the baseline is up here, because when we think about on grade level instruction, Yeah, I mean, Julie and I think I presented it to you guys before about that study nationwide on the opportunity myth, that they looked at all of these different assignments from classes, master teachers, different things. And what it found was about 17 to 20% of assignments that people said were on grade level were actually on grade level. So you think about that when we think we might be giving students grade level work, but it's only like 17 to 20% of those assignments were. And Texas actually replicated that study recently and found about the same results. So when just to your point, even like if I had to go back into the classroom and be a 5th grade math teacher again, I would struggle with thinking about what is the rigor of those TEKs, and am I teaching to it if I'm just pulling things from here and there, which I have best intention, right? But really looking at that rigor. So I want to visualize that baseline being higher, and then the art of that teaching, there being that piece. We want them to learn this well, though, and then they can start putting their personality into it.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Yes,
and I'll
sir.
say this as a comment to the board. I think that, again, we all agree that we want to strive for greater things. And so we know that staying the same is not going to get us any greater than where we are. And so looks like an opportunity, at least from my perspective, to take us to that next level. So again, we thank you guys for bringing it to our attention. Board, if there are no further questions or comments, I will circle back to item K. Just approved contract purchase of service required for LIFT grant implementation. Trustee Thompson, do you have any additional questions?
I do. Is it going to cost us any more than this or will the
So the grant is going to cover the implementation support and contracted services. It will cost us nothing. In fact, it will provide us with not only a service provider for the course of the next 3 years, it will also provide us with additional funding, the additional 30% that we can use to additional professional learning, provide resources for teachers and allowable. That over the course of 3 years allow us other benefits to help with the implementation support. So no extra costs from us except what we would normally do, which is pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, board? If not, I seek a motion for item. We have a motion. Do we have a second? And a second. For item K, approved contract purchase of services required for LIFT grant implementation. Please vote. Carries unanimous. Thanks, board. D is the report and K is the action. So I will turn now to item 10, action.
Excuse me? Are you sure? It looks like
It says consider approval.
Well, that was there. Okay.
So this is actually
right. So this
We gotta do it again.
Okay, so we have approved K. We'll go back to item D under section 9. I need a motion. I seek a motion to discuss and consider, motion to approve the allocation of instructional material allotments, IMA, funds for math instructional materials. Motion, second, please vote. All right, carries. Thank you, board. No worries. We'll go to item 10, action on closed session items, of which we have none this evening. Item 11, closing comments of the board of trustees. Shoppy.
Being an educator, I get very few opportunities to walk campuses because I work the same hours as you guys do. So about a week ago or so, I guess, we got to go through Lomax, and I thank Ms. Perales for taking us through and showing us all the awesome things that are happening over there at Lomax Elementary. First time I've been in the school, so a few of the board members went with me, and it was really enjoyable. And big time watching the district cross country or track meet this last week. It was really fun watching that track meet in that new stadium. There's not a bad seat in that house. Coach Bunny, Coach Stewart, and all them did a marvelous job in running it off, and they get the area track meet. And if you're not doing anything on Thursday at 5 o'clock, show on up out there. Watch some of these kids run. The girls and the guys both did a great job. So it has been a pretty good week, and good luck on Star. We got one tomorrow, and it's going to be tough.
Just kudos to all the CTE kids being recognized tonight. Obviously, that kudos to all the CTE kids tonight being recognized. Obviously, great things going on in that program, and it's great to recognize those accomplishments. The Port Elementary Leopards, you raised the bar for our productions there. You took it to a new level. It was a great job. And then good sentiments on the Good Luck with Star. I know it's a stressful time for most people, but I've got full confidence. Good luck.
This is like the busy time of year. So just everybody, we're in the home stretch. Really pleased with my daughters have done the testing, one test each so far, and they both said they felt really comfortable and confident. So thank you for preparing our students for that, that and continuing to prepare them for that. Your hard work pays off, I promise. We do have some things coming up. I think, Sylvan Beach, I'm sure Jeff's going to touch on that, but specifically we have our contestants for the pageant, our young ladies here from both high school campuses, and they're doing a phenomenal job. I can't wait for them to show all of the things that they have learned in interviewing and public speaking and everything. So we do hope to see y'all out there supporting them. And for the parade, all the campuses that are going to put their entries in the parade, I can't wait to see all the kids. I know that they love to do that. It's one of the funnest times of year because of just the community side of it and everybody coming together. And then we roll right into graduation and everything else. So just let's enjoy it, and we're almost there.
Yeah.
I was going to do it. I was going to say probably exactly what Danny said. I was excited with the CTE kids getting honored tonight. Especially excited to see so many welders and young lady welders at that. As we look towards the end of the year, I know with STAR testing, it is what it is, and we just have to get through it, and our students will perform the best that they can. And I also want to say to the teachers, don't stress about it, because you've done your best already. And then Danny is right about the leopards. I don't think I've ever been that coordinated in my whole life, and that was very impressive and enjoyable. So that made for a great start to the meeting.
Hey, we go visit that campus.
Well,
I'll go video you trying to do that.
Team building. Team building.
Thank you. As we speak, members of the LaPorte FFA and 4-H are showing their animals tonight. I think pigs and some other things were tonight. Culinary arts and I believe steers are tomorrow. And the auction is this Thursday, dinner 5 to 6, and the auction starting at 6:30. I encourage you to come out there and support those FFA students. That is their Super Bowl, per se. I want to thank the high school senior who spoke tonight. Community engagement at any level is always appreciated to this entire board. Lastly, the Sylvan Beach Day Parade is coming up. Thank you for touching on that, Melissa. While I have every principal in the room, please send an email to every parent through Parent Square and tell them not to drop their kids off on the side of Fairmont Parkway and let them meander through the parking lot looking for their float. It drives me crazy. If there's a parent watching, don't do it. That's horrible. You have a young child walking through a parking lot with 18-wheeler trailers, etc. I don't want to be giving you parenting lessons because I'm not one, but that's a bad idea. And so I'd encourage you to please tell your parents not to do that, and it drives me crazy. With that, thanks for participating in the parade. I know it's a lot of work to put your floats together and work with your PTOs, et cetera, et cetera. So thank y'all for the participation in that. That's all I got.
Just really quickly, thank you to the board for your confidence in me and my team, and for allowing us to bring to you our research and what we do, and you to ask the hard questions. That's your job, and we appreciate that. But as you can see, we are absolutely trying our best to move forward in everything that we're trying to do. And so I just appreciate your confidence in our team. Thank you.
Man, guys, we apologize for running a little bit late this evening, a lot longer than normal. But we had a lot of important issues, so we appreciate the patience with us. I want to say thank you for a couple of different things. First, I mentioned last meeting that we were having our Young Entrepreneur Expo. So I can't say this enough, but we are so blessed to have the active guidance and the participation of the district across the 7 elementary schools and Baker, all the admin, everybody that came out to help make that possible. A lot of these kids just are so excited. We're going to award our Entrepreneur of the Year on Friday, I believe. But most of the kids we talked to made over $200 each, and they thought that was like the biggest thing. And so that's always my anxiety. We want the people to show up, but every year you guys show up in a big way, so we're very, very thankful for that. Y'all mentioned the festival. Again, the ISD is a tremendous partner for a lot of different reasons, facilities and coming out. One of my favorite things that they kind of touched on is the parade, because we get to have each one of our schools represented. So I know that is a ton of work that goes on, but not just the parents, but the staff. And so we really appreciate the work and effort that goes into that. If you didn't gather, Mason runs our parade. So we're honored to have that. And Melissa runs the pageant. And so we're just blessed. The chamber has been able, last several years, every year, kind of up our contribution back via scholarships with the pageant and with our outstanding students. And so we're just, the only thing I ask is you please say a prayer that for the safety and for some good weather, we'll have a tremendous day. So outside of that, yes, ma'am?
Say how much you give back for this, what that give back is from.
Oh, so again, I know for some of the big plans and stuff, it's like a typical Tuesday, but for us, to go for $500, this year we're giving out $22,000 in scholarships between the pageant and the outstanding students. But also we have Interact, Obla, several student organizations, FFA, a lot of local nonprofits that help us with it. We make donations to them as well. And so it is a true community festival that the chamber happens to kind of spearhead it, but the ISD is a great, tremendous partner, as is the city. So again, thank you guys. And with that, we are adjourned at 9.